Scott Morris here from Morris Consulting Associates. Well, today's podcast, we're going to talk about something called the experience in your office. And what I want to ask you a question is, what is the experience like in your office? Have you ever thought about that from the consumer's perspective? Have you ever thought about how a consumer sees what we do and how we do it? So we're going to talk about, and I kind of classify this into the 7 P's of the consumer experience. And I want to walk through those 7 P's with you, and I want you to think about and take notes about some of the suggestions I may be able to offer you of how you can improve the consumer experience. Because we all know that consumer experience is the basis of, do people refer other people? Do they spend more money? Do they like you? Do they come back? Do they talk about you in a positive light? Are you scoring emotional bank account points? That's really what it comes down to, and it's about the experience. So the first thing we're going to talk about, the first P is people, and by that I mean the consumer themselves, is do you know who your consumer is? And we talk about this a lot in our marketing podcast series, but I want you to think about, when was the last time you did a demographic review of your business and said, these are the people that I see, and these are the kind of things that they want. And that may require a little bit of work, it may require a little bit of surveys and asking some questions, but the first and most important thing of all is know who your consumer is. Second thing I want you to do, and you can pause this video right now if you want to do this, and I want you to go out to your website, as well as go out to your social media sites and say, is this really who I want to be? And is this site and or social media site something that's easy to navigate and gives people the information they need? If not, one of the to-do lists you might want to add on your sheet today is, I need to do a little revision of my website or my social media sites. Because you also want to find out not only about what you're saying to them, but about what they're saying about you. So go to Google and find out, what are people saying about you? Sometimes it's painful, sometimes it's great, but take those tidbits and use them to improve what you currently have out there. The last part about the consumer is, I want you to do something called secret shopping. Now, not only is the secret shopping for you have a secret shopper come into your office or into your practice and have them shop around and see what is their experience like. Have them communicate with you. Hire somebody to go do this. It might be the best $100 you ever spend to find out what's really happening in your practice. The second P is called process. Now this is an interesting one. We've done many podcast series on workflow and communication and all those types of things, but I have a quick little trick that helps you figure out, what is the process like in your office, and is it something that's consumer friendly? Here's what I want you to do. I want you to take your cell phone. I'm guessing that most of you have that. I want you to walk around your office one day and just hit record and set it down. And for 5 or 10 minutes, just record what's being said, who's saying what things are being done, and how those things are being communicated to the consumers. Because many times what we think we're doing and what we think we're saying aren't necessarily what's happening, and it's definitely not the way the consumer is experiencing those things. And by going through and finding out and listening to that tape, or if you want to take the next step further, even put like a little video system in your office and film what's going on in your office. Spend 5, 10, 15 minutes every week just doing that in different departments in your office, and you're going to find out that either you have a great consumer experience or there's some things you need to work on. Third thing is place. Third big P is place, and that's talking about, when I affectionately call this the front door test, is what I want you to do on the next day you're in the office is, I want everybody to walk in the front door of the office, and I want everybody to just stop and stand there. I want you to close your eyes. I want you to listen. What does it sound like in your office? Breathe. What does it smell like in your office? Open your eyes. Take a look around. What does it look like in your office? All of these things are important from a consumer experience. Do they walk in, and is it a great place for them to be? If not, there's some things we might need to change. It's a quick little test, and I would say not only do it at the front doors, then every month maybe you do it in a slightly different part of the office and find out, is this really what you want your office to be like? I know in our office, we at times do this and look and go, gosh, I wish this would change, or I wish this would be different. And you make a to-do list and say, okay, let's make a step and do it. But the first step is realization that maybe it's not the best experience. Fourth P is positioning, meaning, and what I mean by that is, are you merchandising in your office? Do you tell your consumers what you do? Do you show it to them? Do you tell them what's going to be done and when it's going to be done and where they go next? Simple little things from a merchandising perspective can make a huge difference in the consumer experience. Fifth is product. And I always use this. Is there anything in the office that you would sell to your family and friends? As you walk around, do you look at it and go, yeah, I need this, or I like this? And do your family and friends, which probably cover a couple different demographics of both age and race and experience, is there things they want to see in there? There's things they want to purchase in your office? If not, maybe it's time to reanalyze the product that you actually carry. Sixth P is price. Now, and this kind of goes along with your hide a phone test, is I want you to think about how many times people talk about price versus value. Because people will spend any amount of money as long as they perceive value for what they're getting. And I want you to think about what are some of the scripts you can change or do things differently to talk more about value instead of price. And you can listen to our whole communication series about what to say and when to say it, as we kind of go through that and talk about how do you change that price discussion to a value discussion. Last P, and I think it might be the most important P of all, is people. To the people in your office, the people that work with you, including yourself, are they nice? Because at the end of the day, people would rather do business with people they like. And that nice is important. Because we have to remember who pays us. It's the consumer. It's not anybody else. And so you might want to, after you get done with all of this series of looking at the P's, you might want to have a couple little labs or a couple of little training sessions, if you will. One called the Consumer Experience Lab. And we'll talk a little bit more about that in a video podcast series you can watch that talks about the consumer experience. You might also want to go and have your staff secret shop another practice. That's a great way to not only go steal really good ideas, but also for your staff go and say, well, gosh, they do it this way, and I kind of like that. It sounds better, it feels better, it looks better. And then third thing is have a little communication lab and talk about how do we improve the things that we do. And once more, we do have a whole series on what to say and when to say it. That's a great educational experience where you just have to push play and have your staff listen, watch, and talk about what could be improved in the office. Now, so hopefully that helps in learning how to improve the consumer experience in your office. To learn more about this or how to improve the experience in your office, you can watch our podcast series on improving the consumer experience, or you can even purchase our Enhancing the Consumer Experience guide that's available in our library. Hope you've learned a great deal, and hopefully more importantly, you put it into place. Have a great day.